Hello, I was muted. Hello there, everybody. How are we doing today? I see people showing up in the comments. We are glad you're here. I did see Catherine said it's beautiful in Texas, like 60 some degrees, and I am just so jealous. So jealous. Yeah, San Antonio, Texas, 68 degrees. Hello, Kristen from Cloudy Lima. I feel your pain. I'm in Lima too, and it's been dreary, but I hear the good news is what the sun's coming Sunday. So stay with us. Hi, Mary from Naples. I know it's beautiful there too. Well, for those of you who are in the dreary and you need some good news, or even if you're in the sunshine and you just need some exciting things to stitch out, I've got good news for you. Today, we are talking all about Navigator, which is our absolutely stunning former shop exclusive that's now available for direct sale. And I'm going to turn it over to Annie. She's going to show you this quilt and then she's going to stitch out a block. So are you ready, Annie?
Ready. Hello, everyone. I'm Annie Moody. Hold on, Sarah's rotating.
Sorry, we got a newbie behind the phone.
I'm Annie, and behind me is Navigator. This is our 2022 shop exclusive quilt, which is now available to consumers. So if you do not have a shop near you, you can now buy this from Hoop Sisters. But if you do have a shop near you, go to your shop first and see if they can get it in for you. But it's just a beautiful quilt, and like all of our heirloom quilts and actually all of our quilts, our quilting is included in the design. It's not a separate file, it's part of each block's file, and you'll be able to see that in just a moment. But the cool thing about these heirloom quilts is that they're absolutely stunning, and the fun thing is that they are just as easy as some of our smaller projects. It's just that there's more blocks. There are a few that maybe have smaller pieces of fabric, or maybe like a little flange that's been added in there. But the flange part is optional. You see the flange is just a little piece of extra folded fabric that's right along this area. But basically, it's the same techniques as everything else that you've seen from us in the past. And I'm going to be stitching a block out today. The block I'm going to be stitching out, and they're like numeric blocks. So this is block 24. And I had trouble trying to find out where the blocks started and stuff, but that's block 24. And it's a mirror image of this block next to it, which is block 34. Not to confuse you, but this is also the same block down here. This is block 34 and 24. So just to avoid confusion, this is actually a very symmetrical quilt. So if you were to divide this in quarters, you would just take this quarter, put it over here, do a quarter turn, and then just keep doing that all the way around the quilt. So you do this section 4 times, and you've got your Navigator quilt. And we give you lots of information and handouts that come with the design. One of them is this particular little quilt map that we give you. And this shows what I was just trying to explain, hopefully better than I tried. But this is just, there's an A section, a B section. You don't need to worry about that now. It will tell you all about it, but it's just that one turned. And the B just means that it's a mirror image and turn, but you don't need to worry about that, but they are separate files. This quilt map document also gives you exactly, can they see that? Okay, you want me to put a paper behind it?
I think it's fine.
Okay, so that gives the file names and numbers and stuff that are on there, so that you know when you're stitching block 24, like we're going to do in just a minute, you know exactly where it goes in the quilt. There's also just kind of a monochromatic drawing of the entire quilt and a quarter of the quilt, so that if you want to get some colored pencils or something out to color that in with the fabric selections that you want to try, you can do that too. And it also comes with a fabric and thread key. Fabric and thread key that shows you the fabrics that we used, so you can see where they are in the quilt, and it lists the fabric 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, I believe. And it also talks about backing options. Now for the backing options, you need to decide in advance, are you going to add the backing to the back of your block while it's in the hoop, Or are you going to back it in sections after you get like a 2x2 or a 3x3 section sewn together? So this document will help you answer those questions. Once those questions are answered, then here's all the fabric that you need. And this comes in 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and 10-inch blocks. Today, usually I stitch a 5-inch block just so you don't have to watch me for so long. But today I'm going to make you suffer with a 10-inch block for me. It's not really suffering. It's not any harder. It just takes a little bit longer, but I thought it was a better choice for you to be able to see what I'm doing today.
How big it is. Yeah.
Yeah, it's going to be big. Now, if you did 10-inch blocks and the Fabric and Thread Key gives you all the sizes, the 10-inch block, your completed quilt is 120 inches by 120 inches. I'm not sure about the California King, but I know it'll cover a king size quilt with lots of room left over. Did you have a question, Sarah?
Well, one thing I was going to say was I've seen people say that one of the most intimidating parts is picking fabrics.
Oh.
And one thing I love about this is it is 7 fabrics, but it's really just 3. It's a background fabric
Right.
plus 3 colors.
Right.
Each color is in 2 shades. So that really
Exactly.
narrows it down.
Yep. So
when
as
you're
you can
picking
see
fabrics.
here we've got like an orange and a peach. They have a light and a dark green, a light and a dark. It looks purple on here, but it's more of a periwinkle shade in the quilt. And then your background. So that I'm glad you mentioned that.
It simplifies it.
Right. And the other thing that's great if you're picking out fabric and you really can't decide on what color combinations are going to look good is go find a fabric that's a print that you absolutely love that has maybe 3 or 4 different colors that just really catch your eye. Pull those colors from that print. You can use that print for your back or even for your binding if you want to. But if you use it for your backing, then you know exactly what colors of fabric to pull off that print. So I am going to head to the machine and get set up. And I think you guys are doing a little tour. Aubrey's got more information, but I'll see you guys in a little bit.
Yes. So while Annie gets all set up to stitch out one of these gorgeous blocks from this heirloom quilt, I wanted to let you know, if you haven't seen this yet, we have this one on sale. It's brand new coming out. It's on sale, but we have basically a lot more on sale too. So in our heirloom quilts category, that's a mouthful. Nina, would you put the link in for the heirloom quilt shopping? We have more quilts that are former shop exclusives that are heirloom quilts in that collection on sale on top of the Navigator. So I'm going to turn it over to Sarah and she's going to show you a couple more. You're ready?
I am.
Well, can I show them these things? And then Annie's ready. She wants to stitch this bad boy out. Sarah, your screen on my view is black. There
we go. Okay, so this one is, Aubrey, correct me if I'm wrong on any of these. This is Diamond Skill Builder. I don't remember what year this is from. I want to say 2020, but this one's beautiful. It's got new techniques in each of the diamonds that you see in here, and just absolutely beautiful quilting in each section. I'm trying to show you guys without making you sick.
Look at the quilting.
It really does pop on this one. This is a great one to use wool if you ever question whether you want to use wool batting or not. This is a great one. And it also has this second, I don't know the name of this layout.
It's the stripe layout.
Okay, a stripe layout. So you have 2 different layout options with Diamond Skill Builder.
And it comes with both. That's a fantastic thing. This one is $139 typically, and it's $50 off right now. So it's a great, great deal.
Really fun. Okay, I'm going to turn around this way. And this, okay, I have to say this one is one of my favorites. And I think it will always be one of my favorites. This is Feathered Star. I don't remember the year.
I don't either.
I shouldn't even say it. I know.
The thing that does matter is that this was our very first bed size quilt.
It's beautiful.
At the time, people were like, we want a bigger quilt. We want a bigger quilt. I remember us hauling a bed out to a field for a photo shoot. With this one.
I love this one. Stunning quilting, fun piecing. Some of the stars are pieced together. Others are just quilting and embroidery. They are really pretty. Very, very pretty. I love the border on this one too. Okay. Next.
Show one more and then we'll stitch the block. This one is called Charmed Adventure. This one's amazingly beautiful too. This particular one does have a lot of different techniques. So, well, Navigator, you kind of get used to the way that we do things and you keep going. This one has different, and don't get my clothes today, Sarah, whatever you do. This one has got some really fun, different
kind of
techniques,
3D elements almost.
3D elements. And this also, the center of this has like a different kind of paper piecing, like Hoop Sisters type paper piecing in the center. So this one is going to be a little bit more of a challenge if you're brand new, but if you're looking to learn something different and not do the same blocks over and over again, highly recommend this guy. It's really, really beautiful. This one's Charmed Adventure.
Yes. All right. Are we going to Annie now?
Yep, I'm going to switch it. You ready, Annie? All right.
Okay, we're at the machine, so we get to have all the fun in here. So if you're new to Hoop Sisters, I just wanted to real quickly just show you what our instructions look like. We give you the instructions and also a diagram of what happens on that particular step. And after that step's over, the machine will stop and go to the next step. So I have already done the first 3 steps, and I'll explain those to you. What I have done, and I'm going to have to refer to my instructions because it's been 3 years since we've made this. Basically, your first step in our designs is going to be just a placement stitch, and it's just going to be a square or whatever shape your block is. The second step, which I have already done, is, and this is an optional step, if you want to add an extra layer of wool to give your quilt a little more dimension, you can do that. You can skip to step 3 if you don't want to add the extra wool in there. So I did the extra wool in there, and as you can see, there is a zigzag stitch. Now I have green thread here. However, the instructions tell you to use water-soluble thread. And actually, you're going to use water-soluble thread for the first 4 steps. That way you don't have to change your thread as often, which is a good thing for me. I did it in green just so that you can see exactly what I'm talking about from your phone or your computer, wherever you are watching from. The third step would be it sews the pattern onto the wool or onto the battleizer. And did I talk about step 1? I'm not going to worry about it. Aubrey, remind me that we'll talk about battleizer in a little bit. But it basically sews the pattern right over the top of your battleizer or your wool. And that is to help you know exactly where to lay the fabric. Even though we give you a diagram, you still need a little direction on to where to lay your fabric. For my next step is step 4. So now we can start placing our fabric. So the instructions for this block are going to tell you to cut your fabric X amount of inches wide. I think this one was like 4.5, I think. By WOF, which means width of fabric. And there is a key for what WOF means, but WOF and Hoop Sisters lingo means width of fabric. So we figure at least most fabric is like 42 inches wide here in the United States. So that's what we're going by. So we tell you how wide to cut your fabric by the width of fabric, and we'll just keep working off this strip of fabric as you go. And the instructions tell you you're going to make 4 of this block and 4 of the mirror image block, which is block 34. So for this step, I have my pink fabric here, and I'm going to lay it right over this section. And I can look at my instructions, or I can look at my screen to tell me where exactly to put that fabric. So I'm going to lay this over here. I'm going to peek underneath. And as I lay it down, I'm going to make sure that I am covering everything completely. And it looks like I am. And this step is also done with water-soluble thread. I do have my neutral thread in here just so I don't have to change threads and so that we can speed things along a little bit. And all you have to do is just make sure your fabric stays in place. That's it. Make sure it stays smooth so that you don't have a pucker in the end. Now, from here, you're going to be trimming your fabric inside the block, a 1/4 inch or even a scant 1/4 inch from that stitching. anything on the outside of your block, so for instance at the top and at the bottom, you're going to cut that off about 1/2 inch. And then that gets trimmed later once it comes out of the hoop. You put my fabric over here. And I'm using our hoop scissors. We have 2 of them. We have a mini and we have a regular. I like to use a regular if I'm cutting a lot of fabric like this while I'm in the hoop, because the blade's a lot longer and it just makes the job go easier. So this is an offset handle on the scissors to get down in the hoop, and a nice long sharp pointy blade. So I'm going to cut this a scant 1/4 inch or 1/4 inch. Excuse my hands that are probably in your way. So now that I have that all trimmed up, for our next step, we're going to take our background fabric, and I'm using different color fabrics than we did in the quilt out there, because that was 3 years ago. I don't even know where that fabric is right now. But for this step, you're going to take your background fabric and you're going to lay it right side down with the raw edges even to this section. And again, you'll be able to see that it's going to sew a seam there. So make sure when you do this, now is when you're going to change your thread to just a neutral color thread. That's going to be great for all the seams that you're going to make in your quilt block. And you just place your fabric, lay your fabric right side down, raw edges even. It's going to sew a seam, and then you're just going to flip your fabric right side up. You're going to finger press it right on that seam, and it's going to sew a tack down stitch to hold it in place. Now you will find that anytime we have you do a tack down stitch where it's on the edge of the block, we tell you water soluble thread. But we also don't like thread changes, just like you don't. So this is not going to stitch on the edge. We're going to do that later. It's going to stitch a tack down right there so that you don't have to change your thread. All right. Now you're going to take your hoop scissors and you're going to trim that, again, 1/4 inch. And it's going to need more background fabric over here. So again, I'm going to take the same fabric and I'm going to lay it right side down. One thing I want you to be aware of when you're doing this is that when you turn it, you're going to want to make sure that it's going to sufficiently cover over here. Whoops, and I just unthreaded my machine. Hold on here. That's what I get for switching fabrics. Flipping the fabric around under the needle. All right. So now I have my same fabric right side down, raw edges even. It's going to do another seam. See a thread tail I'm going to snip up here. And then you're going to flip that fabric right side up. And you're going to finger press again on the seam and smooth it all out, and it's going to sew another tack down stitch. And again, we're just keeping the same thread in there the whole time. I'm going to grab my next fabric over here. Okay, now I can trim this fabric over here. Again, it's inside the block. You're going to trim to 1/4 inch. And next fabric I'm going to use is going to be this pretty green fairy frost. And I'm going to lay this down. And again, it's on an angle, so you're going to need to make sure that when you flip it, I'm going to have plenty working with what I have, that when you flip it, it's still going to be enough fabric to cover this area. So right side down, raw edges even. I probably could have put that up further, but this is just for a demo's sake. Okay, so now we're going to flip this so the right side is up, and we're going to finger press. And here we're going to do a tack down stitch that's going to be on the edge of the block. The machine tells you to change to water soluble thread. I'm not going to use that because I'm just trying to show you how to make this beautiful block. And on the outside of the block here, you're going to trim it to 1/4 of an inch. We pretty much have almost all our fabric on there. You can trim what's left here if you want, or you could just leave it there and we can trim it later. Now we're going to take our next piece of fabric. I have a really pretty aqua fairy frost with some sparkles in it. And since you did this in water soluble thread, you now need to change back to your regular thread. And again, watch your angles so that when it's flipped, you can sufficiently cover this. And we stitch a seam. And going to flip it. And this step here is a tack down around the edge. So here you're going to be then switching to your water soluble again. But again, just because I'm showing you how to make the block, I'm going to break the rules. And we do water soluble thread. We're going to talk about battleizer and why we use water soluble thread around the edges when we get finished with the block. Maybe you can find a good example to show you. Now the next step that it's going to do, I'm actually going to be doing some switching here to a different hoop. This, you know, you've all watched cooking shows where suddenly they pop it out of the oven and what they just mixed is finished. That's what I'm going to do right now. So bear with me for just a second. I'm going to have to change my hoop size.
Want us to show Jackie and Journey while you do that?
Nope, it's not ready. All right. So here I skipped a step or two. And this next step it was going to do, there's a hot pink under here that just adds a little bit of detail. And then after that, it stitched a satin stitch. Now we have a satin stitch that's actually on a seam, so there's no raw edge. But the reason you may have a block or two that does a satin stitch over that seam is because that Navigator with those long spikes that go all the way through the quilt, there might be even just one block that we could not piece together and we maybe had to have a raw edge. And we had to cover the raw edge with satin stitching. So sometimes you'll find a seam like that where we tell you to stitch the satin stitch. And the machine, of course, does that for you since it is an embroidery design. And now I have to go to the correct step here. Almost there. There's a lot of quilting steps that are going to happen now. Okay, so along with the satin stitch, it also did some quilting. And so you would match your thread to your fabric that's there. The next step, if you are adding your backing fabric while it's in the hoop, this would be the next step that you would do, is you would take your hoop off the machine, you would turn your hoop over, and you would place your backing fabric on the back, and it will cling to your battleizer. And then carefully flip your hoop back right side up like this and put it back on the machine. I always peek underneath to make sure that the fabric didn't fold over or get out of place, but generally it will just cling right to the battleizer. So that's your backing fabric. If you're going to be putting your backing fabric on while it's in the hoop, all the steps from here on out, you have to match your bobbin thread. You also have to turn off your automatic thread cutter, and you have to bring your bobbin thread to the top, and we'll talk about that in just a second. Right now, you should have water-soluble thread in your needle. We're going to pretend I have backing fabric on here, but even if you don't, sew this step out because it's going to sew the basting stitch up here where we don't already have a basting stitch. And you know what? You should have thread in your machine. Aubrey, if you want to show them Jacobian Journey, and then I will rethread and we will continue.
It helps if you unmute your mic. This is Jacobian Journey, and this one is absolutely stunning. I walk by this every single day, multiple times a day at the office, and there are new details that I see in here every time. It's so pretty. And I know some people really like to do whole cloth quilts with our designs. This one is a great option for a whole cloth quilt because it really has so much detail in it.
Okay, I'm ready to go, Sarah.
All right, we're going to toss it back over to Annie.
All right, I'm going to adjust the camera a little bit, make sure you can see it. It's going to do a quilting step now on the background fabric, and you can match your background fabric, or if you want just another color to show up, this would be a good time to do it. And as I said earlier, if you have your backing fabric on here, you're going to also put a bobbin thread that matches your needle thread, the same thread in the bobbin that's in the needle. You're going to turn off your automatic thread cutter. I'm going to do needle down, needle up, and bring that bobbin thread to the top. By doing these steps, it will make your back look absolutely gorgeous. There won't be any bird nests that'll be happening, and we highly recommend you doing that. So now it's going to do some quilting, and I'm going to stop it and cut these thread tails, and let it do the quilting.
Okay, while Annie stitches that, I'm going to show you guys freshly picked. This is another one that has just beautiful quilting in it. I guess I say that about all of our designs, don't I? The border blocks, love this. So pretty. There's really fun piecing in the middle. And then just beautiful applique and kind of like an organza style ribbon running through the bow. So really pretty. This one's called Freshly Picked.
We're still doing some quilting. The next 4 steps are also quilting. So I think what we'll do is you'll get the idea of how to do your quilting by matching your bobbin thread if the backing fabric is on. If not, you can just use a rotary bobbin thread if you're backing it later. And you know to turn your automatic thread cutter off and bring your bobbin thread to the top. And then you can, what this design will do next, it'll just cycle through all the different quilting that is on this block.
All right. So how awesome was that? I gotta say, like the magic of it is we've digitized it, so the machine kind of takes over. So if you are looking for a larger project, something that's really truly an heirloom that you can pass down for generations, then the heirloom quilts are it. And right now, we only put these on sale occasionally, right? I mean, they're
Right.
not, it's not that often. And this is a great, great price. And how many blocks? I mean, I think there's like 140 some blocks
Something like that. Yeah.
in this quilt. So tons of digitizing, multi-formatted, and a wide range of block sizes. So 5-inch all the way up to 10-inch. You do not need a coupon code either. So that's another magical part of this is you can just put this in your cart. Once you view your cart, you will see that the promotion kicks in. The promotion ends tomorrow, which is February 1st. Can you believe it?
It is my little sister's birthday.
Aw, happy early birthday, Arlene. So just know that. The other thing I want to mention is we do have another workshop coming up. So I want to give you the details on that. If you are not part of our text club, I highly recommend you jump in there. It's as easy as texting the keyword workshop to the phone number on the screen. I am going to have Annie answer a couple questions that I've seen
Okay.
come in.
All right.
And then I will give you kind of the next workshop announcement right now. And a text for that is going out pretty much as soon as we're done here. So do you have the instructions?
I can go grab them.
Did it have, well, don't grab it unless it
Okay.
has, did it have, like if you do a 5-inch block, this is the finished size. Did it have any of that?
Yes.
Okay, grab that.
Okay.
She's going to grab that because I know that was a question that I saw. I'll ask Barbara about her speed in a second too. So keep the questions coming. And I'm going to just kind of star them. She's getting the sizing
They
information.
want block size or in finished quilt size?
The final size for each block size.
Oh,
And I know that we have it in our instructions.
yeah,
So
we do. Absolutely, we do.
maybe you could give us the
Each
5-inch
block
to
size. 5-inch is, oh goodness, where is it on here? I knew it's on here somewhere. I know it's on here somewhere.
She printed a whole bunch of
I did
stuff.
print a whole, I probably printed all the wrong stuff, but I will tell you the 5-inch block is 5.9 inches square, and they're all square. 5.9. 5-inch block is 6-inch block is 5 3/4. And I'll explain why it's not exactly 6 when we say 6, and it's 5 3/4. 7-inch block is 6 3/4. 8-inch blocks is 7 3/4. 9-inch block is 8 3/4, and the 10-inch block is actually 10 inches. But those are the block sizes. It's in the instructions in there somewhere.
I want to say it might be on the website. So I'm going to look.
Probably is. Because
So-
you usually ask me for that information. But
Yeah.
the reason that, for instance, a 5-inch block is 4.9 instead of actually 5 inches is because the sewing machine manufacturers, it seems like the hoops come in, it's actually the sewing field size,
Mhm.
not the size of the hoop. And sometimes when they translate from millimeters to inches, it's not exactly 6 inches or 5 inches. And so that we go just under it so that it matches the sewing field on your hoops.
I have approximate finish sizes too.
Oh, I think I got that in here somewhere.
5 inches. If you do the 5-inch block size for Navigator, it's approximately 58 inches squared. Okay. You say you go to the 6-inch block size, it's 69 inches squared, approximately. 7-inch.
That's like this tall. I'm 5'3".
That quilt that she showed you in the beginning, I think is a 7-inch block.
Yes, it is.
7-inch is 82 inches by 82 inches. 8-inch is 93 inches squared. 9-inch is 105 inches squared. And the 10-inch big old guy would be 120 inches squared. So hopefully that answers your question.
Big.
And that is on the website. So
Mhm.
if you have, if you saw one of these quilts and you're very interested and want more specifics on that quilt, Nina, if you wouldn't mind, I know you already dropped the link, but if you want to drop that Heirloom Quilts link again, there's descriptions in there are pretty detailed. So you should have, and that the quilt total blocks 140 for blocks. I'm reading that right off of our website. So it's a good place to go if you have certain questions about the different quilt sizes. Can we see the fabric requirements? We could probably post that. She's
Yeah.
going shopping at her local quilt shop
Nice.
tomorrow and wants to pick up some fabric.
I'll show you real quick.
And if you're doing that and you want it, see if the shop has it. If they don't, maybe they could order it for you, and then you can just get it from them and get the fabric from them too.
We'd rather have the shops buy it and support your local quilt shop. But I'm just going to show fabric requirements real quick. Is that you're going to choose your where is it? Wrong way. Background fabric, and then 3 colors. So here I have green and an orangey peach, and then purples. So the 3 that are colors, you're just going to pick a light and a dark shade of that. And that's what helps. You can see where the shading comes into effect in those spikes in the quilt. And that's
smart
so
use of
basically
color.
Yeah.
Smart use of color.
Right. So just 3 colors, light and dark, and then a background and your backing.
Okay, and then Barbara said, what speed do you use to embroider? I got nervous. It goes too fast, or does it depend on your machine and the design?
It probably depends on your machine. And most of the machines, they have a range, so you can adjust the speed of your machine. I was in there stitching at 1,200 stitches a minute so that we wouldn't be here for an hour.
And that block size
And
was
generally,
so big.
I do stitch that in that size. It was really big. And there's actually 3 more sets of quilting that quilting in different places where we have to change the color. So the quilting in it is fabulous. And I mean, a long arm person would definitely really appreciate the quilting that's in here. And I forgot what I was going to say. Did we answer her question?
I think so.
Okay.
Okay. And then Sandra said, are you matching the bobbin to the thread color or the backing fabric?
When you have the backing on, while it's in the hoop and it's doing the quilting, you're going to match your thread to this thread and the needle and the bobbin are going to be the same thread. Do not try and match your bobbin to your backing because I'm sure your backing is going to look beautiful with it. But sometimes by matching, having different color thread in the bobbin, if your tension isn't exactly perfect, one of those colors is going to show up at the top or at the bottom. So definitely match. Proper tension will make some of it show on the back. So definitely match your threads.
Okay. And then someone asked too earlier if you could show them where that block was again in the.
Sure, absolutely.
But I think Sarah got rid of her.
Oh,
wait, no, she's still in there.
Okay.
So we can probably do that too.
Yep. And then I can show them the other quilting steps that were going to happen as well.
Oh, that's cool. Oh, someone asked for the text number. That's up on the screen now, but this is cool too. Sharon said that she loves all the Hoop Sisters quilts that she's finished. She's done Elegant Elements, which we didn't even show today, in an 8-inch. She's done Charmed Adventure, which is, that one, like I said, it's got that paper piecing in the center, lots of different techniques. So that's awesome. And then she also did Jacobin Journey in a 5-inch.
Oh my.
And mystery quilts.
Wow. So, well, we would love for you to post your pictures. That would be great.
That's awesome. Okay. So real quick, I'm going to announce the next workshop that we have coming up, and then I'm going to do the giveaway. So,
and we're going to show
where maybe while I do this, you guys can get set up and show that.
And I'm going to also see if I can find an example of why we use water soluble thread.
Okay. All right. So I'm going to pop this up here. This is our next workshop. And if you're new around here, this person might look a little unfamiliar because we've gotten a lot of new people in our group since Sarah's been on maternity leave, right? So Sarah, when's the last time you did a workshop? It's been a little bit. So anyways, Sarah's going to be doing our next workshop. This is going to be called Lattice Blossoms. And the link is on our website to register. In fact, if Nina could find that, Nina, thank you. If you could find that, I'm just asking her to post all sorts of links. But then you guys can get registered for this. It's always smart to get registered in advance because you get that free gift right away. We're also going to send you replays to your inbox so you can rewatch or watch if you're working or something during the day. We do also have live giveaways. And in fact, Baby Lock is sponsoring this one. And Baby Lock is going to be giving away some stuff too. So we're going to have some amazing giveaways this round as well. They're free virtual 2-day workshops where Sarah's going to reveal this new design, stitch out a block, show you how to do it. So it's a lot of fun. Make sure you get registered for that. And then Sarah, I'll hand it over to you if you guys are ready.
We are ready. Oh, okay.
Okay, so I just wanted to show, somebody wanted to see the block we just stitched again. Look how flawlessly it flows with the rest of the quilt. When we left the block, it was doing this quilting, and then it came over here and did it. And then it did quilting on the green, it did quilting on this periwinkle color, and then some more quilting on this one. And so that's all the quilting that was in that block. That's the block, I think, right here, Sarah. If you can zoom in, water soluble thread on the edge of the basting stitch versus, can you see that?
A little bit.
You can see the stitching of that basting stitch there. We use water soluble thread. So all I have to do is get that wet with a Q-tip or something, and it will make that thread dissolve. But if you had regular thread in there, you'd have to pick that out with a seam ripper. And seam ripper, that's a 4-letter word. Well, seam is. So I don't, Aubrey, did you have anything else that you wanted to tell them?
I'm muted. There we go. I'm going to just pop this workshop up here one more time and also let you know I'm about to do the giveaway. So if you have not yet done so, it looks like I've got over 100 people watching on a couple different platforms. So make sure you get in there to get that $25 giveaway. And I guess I will say, and you can speak to this too, you can do these large quilts. But if that makes you a little bit nervous or intimidated, register for that next workshop because the next workshop is going to have a nice, small, manageable project. So if you're new, that might be the way to go. Okay. Don't feel like you have to dive into one of these giant ones. If you've been around a while and kind of had one on your wish list, now is definitely the time to get one of those. So it just depends on where you are in the process, but highly recommend the free workshop coming up next week.
Absolutely.
February, we're going to have a lot of fantastic things for either newbies to the whole process or just kind of pros who are looking to do something quick. So that is coming just to kind of put your mind at ease. I see a lot of heirlooms coming in.
I was going to ask you, did you mention to them, I know we have had questions about the $50 discount, that it will not show up in your cart. It will, but if you go to your cart, it's not there. But if you go to checkout, it shows up. Did I say that correctly?
Yeah. So if you're on the website, it's going to look like it's $189 or $139. You're going to click add to cart. It's still going to look like that. But when you go to checkout, you'll see it in the checkout. So just go a little bit step further. And then I will say too, we've got a lot of people in our Facebook group. It's super easy to just kind of get lost in the Facebook shuffle. And we do not want that to happen to you. So if you are having some sort of issue with it or your cart just doesn't seem like it's doing what it should, contact us directly. Nina is fantastic. She'll walk you through how to get that order placed, or she'll just place it for you, make it super simple. So our customer service line is there. If she doesn't answer the phone and you have to leave a voicemail, she's talking to somebody else, but she'll call you back. So we'll get you taken care of. And then I think that's it. I think we should do our giveaway.
I think so too.
My giveaway isn't right.
Uh-oh, what's your giveaway saying?
I don't have it set up right.
Oh.
So I'm going to go back through and put you guys in a wheel. I have a love-hate relationship with giveaways. So if you typed heirloom, no worries. I swear I'm going to do the giveaway right when we get done. I'm going to put you guys all in a wheel because I didn't set it up right. So
way to go.
My bad. You can still get the $50 off. That's set up right. And I'll do the giveaway immediately after we get signed off of here. Okay. So have fun going shopping for those heirloom quilts, getting the deal. And again, if you're brand new and you're like, whoa, that's a lot, we'll take care of you next week.
That's
okay?
right. That's right. So stay tuned. Watch the Facebook group where Aubrey will post the winner.
All right. Thanks,
All
everybody.
right. Thanks for watching.
Bye-bye.
Bye.